Welcome back to the Literary Apothecary. My name's Kate, and today I'm here to talk about Outer Dark by Cormac McCarthy. Yes, this is another McCarthy classic. This is my first time reading this, and I read this at this time because it was going to be leaving my Audible library account on the 19th, which is ironically the day that this is going up. So I wanted to be able to get through it before it left my Audible account. Just to recap, the other things that I've read by Cormac McCarthy as of right now include The Road and Suttree, so now including Outer Dark. That's 3 more Cormac McCarthy books that I've read. My general thoughts about this book in particular is that this was an unusual read for me. Listening to the audiobook, I had a hard time following the story at times. Having 3 different point of views and the audiobook narrator not really changing his voice much to designate our different points of views was hard to follow without the text in front of me at times. But once I looked at the summary after I finished it, it seemed rather simple. McCarthy sure knows how to write atmosphere and setting in his stories, though. That was always a banger. So a spoiler-free description of Outer Dark for you all. This is a novel at once fabular and starkly evocative, set in an unspecified place in Appalachia, sometime around the turn of the century. A woman bears her brother's child, a boy. He leaves the baby in the woods and tells her he died of natural causes. Now, keep in mind, this is Cormac McCarthy, so it is very dark and dire and feels like the end of the world. Discovering her brother's lie, she sets forth alone to find her son. Both brother and sister wander separately through a countryside, being scourged by 3 terrifying and elusive strangers, heading toward an eerie apocalyptic resolution. So I'm going to dive into my call pile ratings for this, and because this is an audiobook, we'll also have an 8th category, the audiobook category. Our characters, some were unique and memorable, but others felt less so to me. It was confusing with all the different points of views. I expected more of a role from the Tinker since he did have his own point of view at times. But it felt like at the end he was just kind of more of a middleman than anything. Atmosphere and setting, as I said before, Cormac McCarthy always knocks atmosphere and setting out the window. He excelled in this category as he always does. His atmosphere and settings are always spot on, and this book is no different. This had Appalachia written all over it. I knew 100% we were somewhere in Appalachia before I even read the description to find out we were in Appalachia. Writing style. Now, some of the writing in this book I loved. Other parts confused me a little bit. Not my favorite McCarthy book, but maybe it would have been better if I had the text in front of me. I don't know. Plot, it boiled down, it was a simple plot. A woman has a baby. Her brother hides it in the woods, tells her it died. She goes looking for the baby and the brother. But while I was reading it, listening to the audiobook, it didn't seem as simple as the summary lays it out to be. And maybe that's the complexity of McCarthy, and maybe that's just where my brain was at the time. It's hard to tell. Intrigue was the entire reason why I didn't DNF this book. I was interested, and something about McCarthy's writing just hooked me. Even if I couldn't follow it 100% of the time, I just couldn't stop reading. And I don't have a problem DNFing classic authors. I have actually DNF'd another McCarthy book, The Orchard Keeper, because I just was not interested at all in anything that was going on. So I have no problem DNFing it, but this one, something about it just kept me reading. Logic, for me, there were parts that didn't quite make logical sense, but again, that might be a me thing. I don't know. Enjoyment, not really the right word for McCarthy books in general, and especially one like this, but I did like it. So there's that. and our audiobook narrator. Now, Ed Salas narrated this audiobook, and he had the right voice for McCarthy's dark and dirty tone, but I just had so many issues with this narration that it made it hard to follow along. Like I said, he didn't change his voice hardly at all to distinguish between the different speakers or points of views, so that made it hard to follow along on audio. The pacing was fine, except between our chapters, which McCarthy doesn't have chapter headings or anything, but there's breaks to designate chapters. And this is where the pacing was off, when it felt like sometimes it just rolled into the next one without a pause or a short break to designate this next chapter. So it's hard to know when we were supposed to take those breaks if I wasn't paying attention to the actual screen, which kind of, for me, defeats the whole purpose of listening to something straight on audio if I don't have to look down at something. So that is my spoiler-free quick review for Outer Dark by Cormac McCarthy. Super, super dark book. Darker than a lot of other Cormac McCarthy books, at least the other two that I have read. When I finished this book and all throughout my reading of this book, I just felt like I needed many showers and I would not get clean enough listening to this audiobook. If you have read Outer Dark before, let me know in the comments below. What did you think of it? What were your issues, if you had any? What did you love about it? Let me know all the details in the questions. What did you agree or not agree with in this review? If you have read other Cormac McCarthy books, let me know in the comments below. Also, what is your favorite Cormac McCarthy book? I think right now it still is an even run with Suttree and The Road. The Road may be pulling a tad higher just based off nostalgia, because I've read that book more than I've read Suttree, which I've only read once. But just based on the book itself, I think they're pretty much tied right now. As always, keep reading, and I love you all to the moon and back. Bye.